Thanks, Andy. We're privileged to be here, and for those of you who don't know the Josiah Bartlett Center, we're a free market think tank, which, although we're nonpartisan, we're not without perspective, economically conservative organization, but we believe that elections should be about substance. And so we created a series called Substance Over Soundbites, the idea being that you can't explain, we've all watched the debate, right, where they say to somebody, can you explain how you would reform monetary policy, solve all the problems of the world, and balance the budget? You have 25 seconds. And it seems like we wanted to give you more than 25 seconds to do that. So this is going to be about substance, and for all of your friends who aren't here, what we do is we take the interview and we cut it up into bite-sized chunks, so you don't have to download 45 minutes. And we'll post it on our website, which is jbartlett.org, although I'm sure you all have that bookmarked already. So, privileged to have Senator Rand Paul with us. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So I'm going to start with a standard question. There are 6 or 7 people running for president, depending on how you count. Actually, 30 Republicans on the ballot in New Hampshire, but we won't get into most of them. Is it fair to say that any one of those would be better than Barack Obama, regardless of who wins the nomination?
I think yes, but I usually follow that up with saying that it isn't really good enough just to be a Republican. It does depend on, and it does matter what kind of Republican you are. And so when I got started running for office, and when the Tea Party movement was kind of getting going in 2009, 2010, a lot of us were unhappy with some things that Republicans had been doing. And I went around my state actually being quite critical of some Republican policies, and people kept saying, you can't win by criticizing your own party, be quiet, be quiet. But the things that upset me were the bank bailout, the fact that both candidates in 2008 for president had supported the government bailing out banks that had made bad decisions, and that to me was a real problem, with Republicans, and the fact that the debt had doubled under George Bush. Now, I do think it's a lot worse under President Obama, but I was disappointed that George Bush didn't veto any spending bills the whole time he was in office.
It's an interesting question. There are some people who look at Bush's not vetoing bills and said, when he has a Republican Congress during part of his time, it's difficult for him as a Republican president to veto it. Do you think it is difficult for a Republican president? Then let's assume, for the sake of argument, the next president is a Republican. Would it be, let's say it's Congressman Paul? Would it be difficult for him to veto a Republican bill, or does he have to give it more deference?
I think for Ron Paul, there wouldn't be any question that he would veto spending bills. I think that that's a real good question for the voters who are trying to make a determination on Republican nominees. Would the Republican nominee veto bad spending bills that a Republican Congress brought down? The problem with it during the George Bush years, it was the opposite. We had them, and I don't know if you remember the fight in the House over Medicare Part D, the largest expansion of Medicare and the largest new entitlement program since LBJ. They twisted arms for hours and hours, and they kept that vote open, I think, all night. And Butch Otter from Idaho tells the story of them twisting and twisting and twisting. Everybody was offered something. You need a bridge, you need a road to get their vote, to expand the size of government. They did the same thing. It wasn't as much arm twisting on No Child Left Behind, which doubled the size of the Department of Education, which for a lot of us, the old Reagan Republicans, we still believe that we should eliminate the Department of Education. So yeah, I think if you really believe in limited government, you would have to be in favor of a nominee who's not afraid to stand up to his own party when they're wrong.